7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Phresh presents Que Bola, where we talk to various movers and hustlers who are popping off and succeeding in the 305 and at the same time influencing the culture. I'm your boy D Fig. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Ew. Yo, we back in the mix with another one. It's your boy D Fig. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Yo, in this special episode, we sat down with Cesar Morales, owner-operator of the Wood, amongst other ventures such as Las Rosas, that's my personal favorite right there, and various other ones like Tayrona and Alapata. We sat down, we chopped it up about what it's like to be a businessman and an entrepreneur and a creative all at the same time, juggling various tasks and wearing various hats, trying to put on dope venues and spaces and looking at a venue space as a creative outlet. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Let's get into it, all right? Listo. So we back in the mix, dog. Back in the mix. Que Bola podcast. Special guest, Cesar Morales, owner, operator, creator of dope environments in South Florida, experiences, straight out of Atlanta, right? You
Yep.
got here in 2001.
2001, born and raised in Atlanta.
So this is your 20-year anniversary, actually, from Miami.
Yeah,
2021.
actually, I never thought about it. Yeah, 20 years. Yeah.
20-year anniversary in Miami, dog. Revolutionizing things and changing shit up in the spaces.
Time flies.
Yeah, man. How did you, when you originally came here? I was hearing that you had worked on other ventures, like in the hospitality industry, right? Your mom owned a bodega in Atlanta. Still probably does, right?
Yeah.
Um,
It's 35 years, I think, now.
Yeah, so seeing that 20-year change from when you originally got here, what's been like the most thing that has stood out to you in those 20 years? Like from originally getting in Miami and seeing the spaces and, and the environments.
I've given that thought. I don't know if like I'll talk to my friends, and I don't know if Miami per se has changed or I've changed, right? It's not the same mentality. I'm 43. Not the same mentality when you're 43 than when you're 23.
Okay.
You're different priorities. I have a family now. So I still wonder if Miami, that part of Miami when I was 23, for the 23-year-olds now, is the same, right?
That's interesting.
Now, as far as physically, yeah, it's grown. Brickell's insane. Of course, Wynwood wasn't around 20 years ago in terms of what it is now. Of course, the neighborhood was here, but it's not with the restaurants and condos and bars. So growth, more people here. Miami's always been a hot city, cosmopolitan. I think so now more than ever. And even now pre-COVID, obviously we're still in the pandemic, but Miami's a hot city right now.
Yeah.
It really is more than ever.
Yeah. That's an interesting point that you brought up. I never thought about that. So I originally started going out, right? I'm kind of around your age. So I've been going out in Miami and seeing different venues for a long, long time. Like the greats that have come and gone, like Purdy Lounge and Transit Lounge. Some people don't even remember Transit Lounge. Now it's Blackbird. And spots like and venues like that kind of were like setting up the space, right? Setting up the groundwork for Miami to have a place such as Wood, such as Las Rosas, et cetera, et cetera. So like in the space that you see now, from like for 26-year-olds, people who are young now, how do you like try to match that energy to like also equal the space?
One thing, going back to your question, what I do notice is that the nightclub, like a lot of people don't go to clubs anymore. You know what I mean? The super clubs that you fit 1,000, 2,000 people, like Mansion and things back in the day. Now it is more about a bar or a restaurant lounge. It is, with the whole millennial movement, it is about multi experiences in one night. You can eat, you could drink, you can dance, you can hang out. How do I attract the 26-year-old energy? It's not something that I think about, that I say, hey, I'm going to attract. I do things the way I like them. And I'm very flexible. I think something that's very important to do is just to listen to the people.
Okay.
A comment on Instagram, a DM. There's a lot of stuff that I do that either somebody told me directly, hey, have you thought about this? To something sparks an idea, and two people's different ideas become one, or I put my spin on it. So listening, you check the ego at the door, and it's and you give the people what they want. It's really not a it's a really a no-brainer, if you ask me.
Okay, yeah, bro. Pero en realidad, like, I'm from Miami, born and raised, bro. So I know checking the ego at the door is very hard for people out here, right? Like, how do you maintain, like, the fact that, like, you create environments and spaces that are so quintessential Miami right now, and people love that, and then at the same time, like, you're saying, oh, check the ego at the door. How do you?
But I'm saying I check my ego at the door.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How do you do that?
I just don't have an ego.
Okay.
I mean, if customers come and they have their own, that's on them. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm creating a space where, I mean, I remember if I really, you brought up Atlanta, and back in the day, it kind of set me back thinking of when I would throw parties and everything. And even the Studio 54, because I actually watched the documentary for a second time recently, like a couple of weeks ago. And the mix of people that they had, that was such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
You had your models, you had your A-list, and then you had your dancers and whatever, right?
Yeah.
New York in the 70s. That's such a dope thing.
Okay.
And I can't say that I purposely set out to do that, let's say with Wood.
Yeah.
Kind of just happened.
Yeah.
But by being open, by not having an attitude, by being approachable, by having an affordable price point, by having an open mind and listening to people, it naturally and organically attracted people from all different walks of life, right?
Okay.
So,
is that what you set out for? Is that what you strive for? To try to bring in those different silos so they can have a space?
No, that wasn't intentional. That's just a byproduct of you being
genuine.
Yeah, it's a byproduct. Yeah, I don't think you can if you set out, if you're gonna open up a place right now, whatever it was, restaurant, a cafe, a bar, and you said, hey, I want to attract everybody, I want to do doesn't feel organic. You know what I mean? If you're it's difficult. I don't know if I'm making any sense.
Yeah, I understand what you're coming from.
It's just you are you.
You can't force it.
You are you, and you naturally attract your energy. I mean, I never looked at it that way. I've never actually said it that way, but I mean, I believe a lot in energies, both negative and positive, and 10 years later, even with the reopening of Wood, this weekend, like it was a beautiful thing. The energy was right. Nobody had an attitude. Thank God it's almost unheard of to have a fight.
Yeah.
It's just I think you come here, I'm speaking mainly Wood. We're at Wood and Pizza and Beer, but if you look at all the venues, they all have Rosas is completely different than Mojito, than Wood, and Pizza and Beer is different than Wood, but they all have a common thread of like an approachability. You feel comfortable, whether you're spending $10 or $100. It's just
And okay, so I've heard you reference venue and spaces as an artistic, creative endeavor and experience, right? I'm coming from, like, I'm a creative, right? I love to dabble in various things, host, talk to people, interview, create different things. I also
did you say hose?
Huh?
Did you say hose?
Host.
Oh,
no,
host.
host. I mean, that's another way of being creative, you know what I'm saying? Especially in South Florida. But like those environments, right? All those things are conducive because like people understand it as creativity. But people don't understand an open blank space as a venue to be created, right? As like this is basically your canvas. Like venues are your canvas.
Yes.
So
and that started off. It didn't start off that way. I didn't see it that way.
Okay.
Maybe 5-6 years in, I took a step back and I'm like, yeah, it's a 3-dimensional canvas, because it when you set out to create whatever vibe it is.
Yeah.
Right. There's so many things that go behind to make that happen. Whether it's music, whether it's the ceiling height, whether it's the color of paint on the walls, whether it's the type of furniture, whether it's the type of food or drinks, whether it's the kind of staff that you have. All those are factors into your movie or your play or your canvas, whatever you want to call it. So absolutely, I'm learning to embrace that. Like I said, as I as I've done this for more years and I've done multiple things where I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like this is really, I'll take a step back and view it that way.
What do you see as your final product? Like, okay, so it feels like a production, right? Like a movie production, and then at the end of the movie production, the final product is the movie.
Right.
So what do you feel like your final product
That's
of
a good one
venue
because
creator
I
is?
almost think that it's never done.
Oh snap!
They're always evolving. They're always changing. I mean, I always say I'm always tweaking. Yeah, you may leave something alone for a year and a half, and then something.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of locals and regulars, which is a fantastic thing. I don't want to say negative, but the other side, the flip side of that is if you go to venue 4 or 5 times a week for a couple years, you want to see something new when you go. Otherwise, it's there's the familiarity side and the traditional side and to know what you're gonna get. But then there's like, damn, I've been coming here for 3 years. I wanna, and then somebody else may open up and you may want to go there because you want the new thing. So it's kind of in the middle.
Yeah. First, I want to apologize for all that noise that's going on in the background. We are currently at Wood, where it's currently being still constructed. So this is we're in the sauce, which is dope. I kind of enjoy the fact that as we're doing this, the actual progression of the new wood is actually being built out, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about, this is your canvas, and little by little you're tweaking it. You just opened it last weekend. You're already making a change to it. You're already adding this shaded area.
Right.
There's other things that I'm sure that you're bringing to the table, which are in your psyche right now. You're trying to fundamentally put it together. So you have wood, you have Tayrona, you have Las Rosas, which by the way is I want to thank you personally for Las Rosas because Las Rosas is the spot, dog. You know what I'm saying? Especially for creatives and people who like to intermingle and change thought processes and just come together and just think, talk about different things, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's a safe space where you could do that, and everybody has a dope vibe. It's just
Thank you.
I've heard it being described as the old wood, right? And it's it totally got that vibe, I know that when you originally started, it was hard for you to get to where it was at.
The first year was tough.
Yeah,
First year was really
yeah.
tough, yeah.
How do you when you're launching these projects and you're putting out your final product, you're saying that it's continuously changing. How do you know when you've hit okay, I've hit a good stride, I don't want to change it too much now, I want to just tweak it a little bit, but
Yeah, you don't want to do that either. Yeah, no, that's gut. It's an instinct, knowing you don't want to come here and you're comfortable and you come next week and it's night and day. I mean, you don't want to do that. You don't want that shock factor either. It's gut. It really is. Just intuition and I mean, let's use Pizza and Beer as an example.
Yeah.
It opened up and 30 days after being opened up, it completely got revamped.
Yeah.
I knew that if I didn't make it didn't feel right. I knew that if I didn't make those changes, it was dead in the water. That was my gut, my instinct. I could have been hard-headed. I could have been, oh, let's see. I knew. It felt the space felt cold. It didn't. Me as a customer,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to come and stay for hours. And I noticed myself as we got the booths, when we put in the wooden floor, when we painted. I noticed myself, without even thinking about it, I would catch myself being here more. Mind you,
Okay.
this is me, right? So I could be here anytime I want.
Yeah.
But I noticed I would grab a drink, I would sit, I would like, damn, So I'm very analytical, sometimes to a fault. I'll overanalyze things and why are you sitting there and not over there? Why, whatever. The speaker's there, the light's there, the fan hits you. Maybe it's quicker to get a drink where you're all
Yeah.
these little things that maybe you're by the door so you can see people walk in. Maybe you want to be in the corner because you're more private. The way the light hits you in your face, all those things, and it's not coincidence.
Yeah.
I study those things. I think I find it fascinating. I think there's always a reason why people do things, always. Why they sit where they sit, why they're dressing the way they're dressing, why they're ordering what they're ordering, whatever it is. There's always a reason for that. So when I set up a place, I'll have an idea in my mind. Okay, here's what I think I can attract with this vibe, with this decor, with this music, with this blah blah blah. Then you open your doors and you see what you get. And I've always tried really hard that whatever sticks first, those are people that are already there.
Okay.
You try to stay with that. Those are the people that it resonated with. It's like, okay, I got something. These people like this way, so let me build off of that. Again, I think it's a really common sense approach.
But yeah, it's not really applied too much in various places. I mean, At least from my experience, you know, a lot of people come in with a perception of what they think is cool, and they try to like jam. What do they say? A circle into a square peg or something like that.
We talking from the venue owner's perspective.
Yeah, from the venue owner perspective, like they feel like this is what's cool, so I'm gonna shove it down your throat, and then people don't show up, and they're just like, well, I mean, you thought it was cool, but, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
but it's not.
But it's not. You know, like the people will speak with their feet and with their money and with their wallets.
I mean, look. I mean, we can get real deep into the subject, but I mean, at the end of the day, what makes a venue are the people, from the staff to the customers, right?
Yeah.
So you let them do what they do.
Okay.
Right? You give them that freedom. You give them that physical space.
Yeah.
You know, we could talk about the new Wood and how we moved this so we're not in the same physical space.
Yeah.
Obviously, we have key elements of the bleachers and certain, you know, open air and whatnot, but the vibe was equally as special.
Yeah.
The people.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like I said, you could get really deep into it, but it's you give people a space. You give them a space where they feel comfortable to do what they do, and you let it be.
So okay, so I've heard you talk. So we're talking about the creative and the space and the people that make the venue what it is and create the experiences. Because to me, it's really all about experiences.
Sure.
Every time that I visit one of your venues, it's all about like having a good experience and remembering that experience, right? It's not necessarily the four walls or anything about it. It's like who you're there with, what kind of experience you're having with them, and like the communal experience as well. Like if you're having a blast and then you see other randoms having a blast, it makes everybody have even more of a blast. It's like, okay, this place is dope as fuck, you know?
Right, yeah.
Now, on the opposite side of that, there's also a business. So I've heard you harken a lot on numbers, right? If the numbers don't make sense, you can't really like justify doing something, right? How do you like come to grips with creating the space and doing the thing with the people and creating that nice venue, but at the same time trying to stay within those numbers where it makes sense for you as a business person? What's like the formula for that?
I mean, I've been on the other side, unfortunately, of really high rents, and that's the number one killer, right? If you have a space, your rent's really high from day one of the month. You know, you have that. Okay, I got 4 weeks to make this rent, or 30 days, however you want to break it up.
Is that always on your mind?
No, but I've made mistakes, like Berserk being one of them, where the rent was really high. The turnout was actually decent. The vibe was decent. Like it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't bad. It wasn't like damn. It was a total dud. It wasn't. So to answer your question, I mean, I consider myself good with numbers, and I just know, like even before you get into a business, before you sign a lease, before you start doing a build out, you already know, okay, for example, if my rent's X, dude, I'm not going to cover that with $7 drinks or $10 drinks or whatever. So I almost don't want to even attempt that business because I don't want to put myself in a situation where I'm now forced
to cut corners,
to do things, and I've said this before, vibe over money. I do vibe over money. You know what I mean?
Vibe over money.
Yeah.
That's the formula.
I guess if you want to, like in the simplest form, yeah. Because when you got that, the vibe will translate into dollars and cents if you set it up right. If you worry about the money, it just, I don't know, it doesn't feel authentic. It feels forced. You're trying to fit that square into a circle.
Oh.
Now, let's talk about over here at Wood Tavern in the new location, that the rent is significantly lower than what it was on 2nd Avenue. I love that. Not obviously from a business perspective, but from a creative perspective. It allows me more freedom to do something. Let's say, for example, we launch XYZ night.
Yeah.
I don't need 500 people that night to consider, should I do it, should I not do it? We do a night and it gets 100 people. The vibe is good. Everybody's happy. It's making a little bit of dollars. Perfect. You leave it alone.
You can do riskier things now.
I could do riskier things, yeah. Yeah.
Which opens up,
bring in, you know, on special occasions, bring in bigger DJs that you may, if you have this high overhead, you may say, okay, well, I'm not going to bring in so-and-so because it's X and it doesn't make sense. But if your rent's lower, your overhead's lower, you can afford to I mean, I believe a lot in giving back, you know. Maybe I'm a bit loose, you know, when it comes to that. Like, you know, I'm not super rigid where, it needs to make this and that. I mean, there's a little, you may lose a little bit of money over here, but you gain it up on the other side. And that's kind of, at the end of the month, you're good. That's kind of my formula.
And how like, did you have any influences in the venue space? Because like, is there any, like, would you say there's any pioneer that you looked at and you said, damn, this is something that I could try to like set as an example or something like that?
Nah, I mean, I've never really. I mean, I myself have always, when I threw parties in high school, just wanted to provide that production value before an experience was a thing, right? That's the buzzword. Experience. Yeah. You want to do this, you want to do that when you go to a place. My thing is seeing people have a good time, whatever that means. If it's you smiling and having beers sitting at a regular picnic table, or because there's a dope DJ, or because whatever it is. Because service is on point, or because the cocktails are made a certain way and they're delicious. You having a good time is the ultimate goal. So I've always focused on that. I never thought that I would have this number of many venues 10 years in. I never thought Wood would be what it is. So honestly, I mean, I don't know where I'll be in 10 years in terms of like, will I stop at some point? Will I do 10 more? I don't know, but I never really compared myself to anybody.
Well, bro, I tell you 100%. Now you're that pioneer, dude. 100%. Like people look up to you and say, man, this is somebody that I would like to emulate in the venue, in the space, and the creating the vibes. 100%. I see it all over the place. People trying to mimic what Wood was like before. Wood, there was no bleachers and DJs outside. Now everything around here is just bleachers and DJs outside. If that doesn't speak to like volumes as to you pioneering,
the highest form of
the highest form of flattery is imitation. So it's like.
But I don't take myself too seriously. I mean, there's plenty of ideas. There's I don't see, like you said, that I don't know. There may be some young kid growing up that wants to do bars and maybe looks up to me, but I don't see it that way. I don't. Again. That's also part. There's different things that I really, as part of the sauce. Like, the space is never done. Don't take yourself too seriously. Concentrate on the customer.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds basic, and I'm sure other people say the same thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's work for me. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
100%. So as the entrepreneur that you are, I heard you started off very young, working in your mom's bodega. And moving boxes and doing things here and there. How does the entrepreneur life, like, I heard you try to go into like working in the corporate world. It didn't last for more than a week or something like that. Right. So you being an entrepreneur, launching yourself, like what is the structure that you relied on to try to gain that success that you did, right? Because I'm sure that initially when you started, you learned like from the breaks, you know what I'm saying? Like taking lumps over the head, like.
Oh, absolutely. So the best lessons are learned that way for sure.
Yeah, because I heard about the Kiss Cafe and the Grove, et cetera, et cetera. So
did your homework.
Yeah, I mean those things are the things that like lump you over the head.
Sure.
So then, what was your like drive and determination? Right, it took you 10 years to come back from that L to launch Wood. What was like? Okay, I'm still wanting to do this. Esto me está picando, like
when Kiss closed, like, and toward the end that it became just a bar.
Yeah.
That's when like the light bulb went off. It's okay. The bar business is where it's at. The restaurant side of things, it's complicated. Even the simplest menu can get complicated. It's too much salt, not enough salt. They didn't grill it enough. They grilled it too much. Whatever.
Yeah.
Right? The bar, you get a Jack and Coke, you're good. You know what I mean? Like it's just,
It's hard to fuck up a Jack and Coke.
Whatever. So, and just knowing, like, so I'll go back to like 17, 18, 19 years old when I would do these little mini productions and rent a restaurant or rent a warehouse and do a party.
Yeah.
Like I would always look for sound, like a dope sound system. I always wanted to do lights, right? But when you start renting this, renting that, and you have a couple of people show up, you're in it for a lot, right? And a lot may be, maybe you take in $3,000, but you're in the party for $4,000,
Yeah.
So, kind of lost my train of thought. But what I know that as growing up, and the more I do this, and I'm in a position that I can be able to do the things I want to do, is I do want to get that sound system. I do want to get those lights. I do want to get this decor. I do want to get this type of furniture. And that's just something I knew that I always wanted to do. Like when I wasn't able to do it before as a kid, like me quedan esas ganas. Like I need to be able to one day do this.
Yeah.
Because the idea's in my head. I want to be able to do it. So me not being able to do something in my head is extremely frustrating. And I don't put any limits to what I can or can't do. I mean, in terms of business, in terms of down to earth stuff, not go to the moon or none of that. I'm just saying, okay, if I want to open up a spot like this, okay, here's the idea. I don't know when, maybe next year, maybe in 5 years, but pretty much everything that I've done to this point, at some point I've had the idea years back. So again, the formula works. So I mean, as long as it's working, as long as I enjoy it, I mean, I'll continue doing it and having fun with it.
Bro, that's admirable. I myself, as an entrepreneur, I understand what you're saying. Like, se te salen unas ideas, like, right? And you can't, for some reason, you can't get over them. You feel like I got to accomplish this in one way, shape, or form or another. So that's really it's kind of like self-competition.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a
you're challenging yourself.
You.
Yeah.
I would never try to emulate somebody else or and idolize somebody else. It's me, as the man in the mirror. And but I mean, going back to what you're saying, when you're an entrepreneur and you have ideas, I mean, for the most part, the biggest struggle at the beginning is capital. You want to do something, but it costs this and that, and you can't, or it doesn't make sense, or when you start learning, okay, this doesn't make sense to do this because I've already done this in the past, and don't do that again. Or the best lessons for sure for me have been my biggest mistakes, without a doubt.
Okay, I totally hear you though, bro. I mean, so launching Wood, prior to Wood, there was nothing in Wynwood. There was Wood. What was the one that was across the street? What's it called?
Joey's.
Joey's was there, and then the one next
Wynwood Kitchen.
Wynwood Kitchen. So it was Wynwood Kitchen and Joey's. Then you launched, right?
Panther was around.
I remember that like the back of my hand because I used to come around here. Soho Lounge was what. First of all, Soho Lounge is like the one spot in my head that I've had equal to amount of fun as Wood or like up there with Wood. Soho Lounge was the shit. It had like 9 rooms almost, and it was just like everybody was there haciendo de todo un poco, right?
Uh-huh.
So you come in here, you launch this. Obviously, you didn't have the foresight to see what Wynwood was gonna become because, like you have said previously, you would have purchased property and shit,
Absolutely.
right? How do you feel about the creating the value in the neighborhood and then other entities, real estate developers, et cetera, coming in and grabbing that value that's been created by pioneers such as yourself and other locations?
I don't think about it. I wouldn't sleep. Like it's something that I don't. That's giving myself too much credit, which I don't. I mean, I obviously I know that Wood did help. I mean, let's be honest. But how much or how much value? It's impossible to know. I don't think about that, and it's in the past anyway. So it doesn't really anything that doesn't add positivity, or if it's something that's out of my control. Yeah, I really put it out of mind. Okay. I do deal with a lot of things that happen on a day-to-day basis, just regular operations, plus on new projects, whether it's the city, whether it's the architect, whether it's the contractor. And a lot of things, are out of my hand. So if it's out of my hand or out of my control or it's in the past, you just keep it moving. That's the only way to really juggle and do multiple things at the same time. There's a little bit of madness there. I mean, within a 3-week span, we just opened up Wood. We're gonna do Lola's Phase 1 soon, which is right here, the coffee shop. Nice. Tiki Garden, which is where Wood was. Okay. Which I haven't fully publicly announced that yet, but that's a pop-up. That's a pop-up because I still don't know what's gonna happen with the property. So doing all these things at the same time, like I said, there's a little bit of madness there,
Yeah. Yeah, and having to deal with all the various like little intricacies of each one.
Absolutely. And then still day-to-day operations on the existing businesses. So it gets tricky, but again, I enjoy it. Yeah. I definitely enjoy it. That's probably rule number 1. Enjoy what you do. I tell my daughter, whatever you do in life, because I don't, she's 10, my eldest is 10. Okay. I don't put anything down her, like, I want you to do this or that, nothing. Rule number 1, whatever it is, be happy. Be like, whatever you choose in life, You know, that's probably the best thing I could ever. Again, my personal opinion, my parenting, my own parenting philosophy is that.
Follow your passion. I've heard you say that. Follow your passion.
Because at the end of the day, if there may be a teacher that loves, let's say, kids, right, and they don't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're doing that, but they're happy.
Yeah.
And they take summers off and they do this, and they're happy.
Yeah.
Versus somebody who's working at a job they don't like. They're making
Yeah.
a bunch of money, but they're miserable. Who's more happy at the end of the day? You know?
Yeah, yeah. That's 100%. So I know that within your formula is recoup and then refund to go and launch other venues. So that's your current drive, right? You touched on it earlier. Do you see yourself like, is there a capacity for Cesar, Morales, like, fuck, this is too many venues, just
I don't know. I mean, I sometimes maybe think that now, I mean, it is a give and take, as far as, it does take up time, of course. What do I want to do? I love traveling. That's my number one passion, photography. But at the same time, I love creating, and it's hard for me if I see a need, right? Let's just say, for example, let's go back 4 years before B&D Burger was conceptualized. Like, there was no burger spot in Wynwood. Like, to me, that's like, how can there not be? We're a pizza by the slice place with Valentina's Pizza. If I have the resources to do it, I have the idea. The idea is not off the wall, like some random, hey, let's do some new concept. No, if it's a staple, if it's a burger joint, if it's a regular bar, if it's pizza and beer, then it's hard for me not to do it.
Okay.
There may be a point where I don't want to do it, and there's definitely not a gun to my head. So the day I don't want to do it, I won't do it. But
do you feel like it's low-hanging fruit when you see those opportunities?
I mean, I would rephrase it as a no-brainer. Low-lying fruit is a little bit cocky. I'm not cocky, but I would say it as a no-brainer.
That's what's up. That's what's up, dog. I mean, if nobody's had the go ahead to jump on a situation like that, that's very apparent,
Right.
So it's just like you're like, yeah, I gotta do this. Like, I've given it space and time.
Yeah.
That's what's up, bro. That's what's up. So, do you have one? I know they're like your kids. Do you have one that you love more than the other?
Nah.
Come on, bro. You like it, dog. Like.
Nah, and they're all special in their own way. Like, you can't compare Wood to Tayrona.
Okay.
Right?
No, 100%.
But Tayrona really surprised me. Like, in the middle of nowhere. I've never done anything full-blown Latin.
Yeah.
It's my people. I wanted to do it. I gave it my all. I did it by myself in the middle of the pandemic where we weren't really open, and it was literally me, you know, as opposed to having a supporting cast at the very beginning, right? Obviously, when we opened, it was different, but no, I can't. I generally don't. Now, I mean, Wood is my baby in the sense that it's the first.
Yeah.
And it's allowed me to do other things as well, but I don't have favorites, and I'm being honest. It also depends on what vibe I'm in that day, I mean, I may be in a Latin mood and
okay,
I go to Tayrona. You know what I mean? If I'm in the little more dark and I want to be a little whatever, Rosas,
Okay.
So it's
a little more spicy. When you get spicy, you want to go La Rosas. How do you feel about this? Like the fan pages that have popped up for La Rosa y todo eso.
I've seen one or two here, whatever. I don't care.
You don't want to speak on that?
I don't know much about it. I mean, I've seen some stuff,
I mean, people are like showing genuine love for the venue. Like, it's.
Oh no, but I thought you meant the ones that make fun of it.
I mean, there's some that make fun of it. Okay. There's some that are like.
I haven't seen the ones that are positive.
Sarcastic, excuse me.
The ones that are positive, I haven't seen. I've seen the negative ones.
Okay, I mean, yeah. But, bro,
no, if there's love out there, amazing. I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
I gotta check up on those.
That's what's up, man. I mean, no, there's a lot of people that every time that I talk to a creative or somebody who I'm like, who I'm in the scene with and stuff like that, La Rosas kind of always continuously pops up, and it's one of those things that we're not like. I've talked about La Rosa on this podcast, I don't even know how many times, because it's like, we'll be talking about some shit and they'll be like, oh yeah, this time when I was at La Rosa, I saw this or I did this or that like that. It's like one of those spaces that allows for new creatives to be just explorative.
Let me, as you're saying that, I'm thinking of what we've talked about today, and another thing is letting the space. I mentioned earlier letting the people do what they do.
Yeah.
Right. giving them the space to do that and letting the space breathe what it naturally is going to do anyways. Meaning me, as the owner, get out of the way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not in there doing this or doing that or making it that. The space is already here. You got people are already here. People are already, the musical direction or whatever is naturally going down that path. Let it go down that path. You know, I mean, unless it's something, I don't know, like totally not against what I mean, again, just something that I don't agree with or whatever, which I can't really think of an example, but for the most part, you know, I mean, the only thing I can think of is like, you know, I try not to go ratchet, you know what I mean? Like that's just a personal preference. Like I try to keep it, you know, so musically we keeping things within a certain lane. Yeah. But other than that, everything's fair game, you know, and so get out of the way, get out of your own way sometimes.
Damn, that's really, really gems right there, man. It's really hard that's really egoless. Like how we started off talking about like checking your ego at the door. It's really hard for you to get out of your own way sometimes because of the ego.
Well, so with Wood, it was intentional from the get-go, from inception, to not have. I had the printing company at the time that relied solely on me. Yeah. Even I started by myself in the back room of the house, and then I grew to have a staff. When I had staff, people still relied on me. It was really annoying because like, okay, I have staff to do this, but you're still calling me for something that this guy can help me with. So when I started Wood, I purposely did not want to be the face, and I didn't want a business dependent on me. What that allowed to do is for the people to
step up.
No, it allowed people to identify with the place and take ownership. People would take people to Wood and say,
your
"Hey,
staff,
customers, staff," as opposed to me being the face. So I only really became public on my personal Instagram less than a year ago. Yeah. I wanted to share the business side of it. I wanted to share the losses and the
heartache
what goes in. Yeah, because people see the good. Yeah. But everybody shows the good.
Yeah. That's what Instagram is all
about. This, you flexing, whatever it's called nowadays. Whatever. Yeah. Did I just age myself? Is it still flexing?
Yeah, it's flexing, bro.
There's a new word for it,
though.
No, there's a new
flexing. No. There's all kinds of things.
There's a new word for that. Yeah. Anyway,
we're too old for that. We're seeing the years here. But no, 100%. I hear that, man. It's crazy. Step out of your own way. Don't be the one flexing. Other people will flex for you.
It's not flexing though. It's
stunting.
Stunting? Is it stunting? It may be stunting.
Bro, there's so many ways to say it, bro.
Stunting's like the New Orleans boys with the Cash Money.
The Stunners? Cash Money Stunners?
That was like 90s. Whatever. Yeah. You know what we're talking about.
No, man, 100%, dude. It's very clutch in that way. So you're owner-operator, right? You're supporting people. Who supports you, bro? Who's your team that's like helping you through all these things?
Well, so I mean, we had a massive restructuring with the pandemic.
Okay.
We really ran with a skeleton crew, but right now, I mean, we had a full corporate structure out of necessity as we grew. Yeah. But right now we're just back to GMs. Like every venue has its GM, and they come directly to me. Okay. And there's a bookkeeper and there's a graphic designer, but that's why when I first sat down, I was like, you know, there's a lot of work because there's a lot of things that on my plate that normally wouldn't be on my plate. But for the meantime, it's also allowed me to be, not that I wasn't before, but feel more in touch. Okay. Because I'm more hands-on versus letting somebody else handle certain things. Yeah. So that's a plus. I always try to find the positive in something, whatever it is. And as things have opened back up now and things probably been back to normal, I don't know, a couple months now, we can now start to kind of get that structure again.
All right. I mean, bro, that's dope, man. It's really like, it's very empowering to see un Latino doing things like this and it not being like some developer or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have nothing against developers or anything like that, but this is like genuine come up, like entrepreneur hustling, like, you know, ponte las pilas type of thing. Yeah. You know? And it's for myself as an entrepreneur, I see you like as something that I'm like, bro, I want to like strive to be like that, you know, to try to get there. And it's like you're like a common face to me, you know what I'm saying? En vez de otra persona that you look at and you're like, bro, I don't really relate to that person too much in any way, shape, or form, you know, outside of the fact that they got a shitload of bread and I want some. You know? So well,
kind of piggyback on that. You know, reach a point in my life and career where I do want to give back and whatever, in whatever capacity that is. And I think that the next move for me, and I'm not saying it's immediate, but let's just say in the next 6 months, next year, definitely in the relatively near future, I do want to give back. And what I think I can help is with the knowledge that I have acquired over the last 20 years. Again, mainly on things on what not to do in business, obviously. So I am gonna create some kind of nonprofit where I'm giving advice, or I haven't fully developed the idea yet, but because I do want to do that,
Yeah.
Um,
That's what's up, man.
I'm in a space where I'm comfortable enough to do that.
I mean, I kind of feel like you've already done that by creating the spaces and the environments for other people to share and grow. Cause that's kind of like when I go to Las Rosas, I always feel like I'm gonna share and grow. When I come here to Wood or Pizza and Beer, I always feel like I don't always feel, I'm always with people, so I'm sharing and I'm growing, at the same time. And like these spaces and venues are conducive to that. It's like you come here and you feel creative. Just sitting here, looking at all this fucking graffiti, toda esta cosa, like
You're reminding me of an idea that I have. I had it about 2 years ago, and then I totally forgot about it until just now. There needs to be like some kind of like poets cafe type of thing where it's that there's a stage and there's spoken word and there's somebody playing an instrument. That like the true essence. I think of like, and I know nothing about it. I'm just gonna say I feel like a Harlem vibe.
Yeah.
Back in the day, which I'm not even from Harlem, but
Yeah.
I just some that's a visual that I see.
Yeah.
And again, that may not be the most profitable business in terms of
Yeah.
but it's not about that. So I just did it right there in front of you, where I have an idea of how like I could visualize the space,
Yeah.
the vibe, the lighting, the clientele,
The vibe.
the music going on. That I could just see it exactly what you just said. People that are getting together and sharing ideas, and it doesn't have to be a DJ playing necessarily. It could be somebody playing an instrument. It could be whatever.
Yeah.
And grabbing a coffee. It doesn't have to be necessarily at midnight.
Exactly.
That's something that I think that I could see myself doing also in the near future.
Yeah, I saw that on your post that you had mentioned something about creating a space like that.
No, I don't know. That you may be thinking of Lola's Cafe, which is right next door.
I saw something you had put something on your post, something about creating in the future spaces that where creatives come together and share.
Oh
ideas.
no, that idea is. So I think also the next phase for me would be getting into the real estate side, right? The ownership side.
Okay.
I've rented this whole time.
Yeah.
It was a decision that I made to leverage myself to, instead of buying whatever 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 2 years ago, whatever, and use that money to do a business. The business will ultimately give you that cash flow that you can use it to buy property.
Yeah.
The property itself won't give you money to open up the business. So I'm not saying that formula is right. I'm just saying that's what I've done,
Yeah.
But I'm hopefully in a position soon where I now can start buying and being on the other side.
Okay.
What I see a need for, and that's also, I would imagine any business person, they always look, okay, what's the need in the marketplace? Rents are very high. Creatives typically want a small space, a studio, and they want to pay something that's relatively affordable.
Yeah.
So I could see doing some kind of campus or some kind of big.
Yeah.
I'm now thinking really big. I like to challenge myself as well, but some kind of canvas with, let's say, 100, 150 studios, and the property is just that. Imagine the vibe.
Yeah.
Or some kind of warehouse loft scenario where, I don't know, 400 or 500 square foot little studios, multi-level. There's a coffee shop on the premise. There's a bar on the premise. There's food. That vibe. That to me is
That's kind of
so
like the
real.
old Wynwood. It's what you're kind of talking about the old Wynwood, literally. Dude.
Yeah.
Like you would have to move out like more west and find a
It's kind of be in the middle of nowhere. But
an industrial park type of place.
I love industrials, which is why I loved Wynwood. Which the industrial vibe. Now you have glass.
Yeah, now it's not. Yeah, industrial se acabó, bro. That's done, daughter,
We'll
bro.
do it. We'll do it though.
It's coming forward, man. Well, bro, I really appreciate your time, Cesar.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. Thank you for talking with us and like chopping it up. I got something for you, my dog, for swinging through.
Gonna put me on the spot.
My representation. It's all good. It's my representation of Miami. It says bro, acere,
I like this.
Amigal, all of that. That's something that me and my dog Lanebot put together from Strange Base, and I want to gift that to you because like that kind of like represents kind of like what you've done, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. One of one?
That no.
Okay.
It was a special run. There was only like the special edition. That's one of like we did like 25 or 30. We did 25, so one of 25 right there, bro.
This reminds me of what I posted the other day about what community.
Yeah.
Like you kind of just list.
Yeah,
This is
I
like
saw that.
different, community, love,
Brotherhood, yeah.
parce.
Yeah, it's all about like that South Florida environment. Like, bro,
Thank you.
100%.
Thank you for the gift. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.
No, thank you for doing this thing, man, because bro, I'm telling you, I'm a native born and raised, and I remember when there was none of this. You know what I'm saying? I remember it was none of this, dude. And to go out, all you had to do was do loser laps around the Grove. You know what I'm saying? Like, in a car, just looking at people out the window.
Thursdays in the Grove.
Yeah, Thursday, doing loser laps, basing and shit. That was it. That was no.
I never heard loser laps, but I get it. I get it.
That's what it was, bro. Once again, bro, I really appreciate you. Thank you. If people want to reach out to you, people want to like see your stuff, see what you're putting forward.
My story's on IG. Cesar Morales. CesarMorales.
Okay, at Cesar Morales.
Yes.
All right, man. Thank you once again. And like I say, if you guys like this podcast, please share it with your friends. If you hate it, share it with your enemies. But just share this motherfucker, all right? Hasta la próxima. Peace.
Peace.
Yo, I want to thank Cesar so much for coming on the podcast and sharing knowledge and gems with us, letting you know how to be creative in the business field as well as in the artistic field, using a venue as a space and thinking about it in a different manner might be a different approach. If you guys like what you're hearing, please share, subscribe. If you like it, share with a friend. If you hate it, share with your enemy. But just share this, all right? If you know anybody in South Florida who's influencing the culture and making things pop, holla at your boy, and they might be on the podcast. You never know. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate y'all. Be easy. Peace.